Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. I hope that everybody is having an awesome week. For those of you who are going to celebrate Christmas in whatever way you're going to celebrate it, I wish you the best. While I'm not a celebrator of Christmas from a commercial sense or even a religious sense, I enjoy spending time with family. This is a very uh, nostalgic time of year for me. The weather, the smell, it brings back positive memories of my childhood. So this is always a great time for me. Also, there's it falls in the same time frame as my wedding anniversary. So this is always a great time for me. I get to spend time with my children and my grandchildren. So I'm going to enjoy every bit of it. Um, and do everything I can to make it a joyous occasion for everyone else. But however you choose to do it, enjoy this time, prepare to transition into a new year, um, a new beginning, and do that the best way you know how. Those who are working with me, we have some plans on deck on what we're doing and moving forward. So that's exciting. I'm here to talk to you today. Um, I'm here to talk to you today about something that I'm in one way finding amusing. And it's simply that we don't pay attention to all the cues, all the things there. We have been so uh, intensely programmed and conditioned to see things and to believe things and to accept things without scrutiny, to accept things without detailed examination and validation. We don't perform due diligence. We learn from memes. We take our cues and our positions from media driven narratives, and we never ask questions that should be at the forefront of everything that we engage in. That, how has this served my interests? How has this in the history of my people served our interests? And what point can we sit up and say that there's a positive that has always been there? Some simple questions that should give you some insight or guidelines by which you need to approach your developing of an understanding about something. We allow the media to shape and frame narratives, present them to us, and we will argue and defend them to the end. We never want to sit up and truly acknowledge where we are. Hello, Regina. Good to see you. We never want to really truly. It's a rough thing though. Who wants to have spent 3 and 4 decades, whatever their lifespan is at the current time, and then look up and say, "Man, everything I've been doing has been wrong. Everything I've been doing has been." Hold on, that's wifey. Uh, Man, I can't even think right now. She caught me off guard. She's asking me about some creamer. Um, God, what kind do I do? Okay, sorry about that. She caught me off guard. But anyway, I'm paying attention to, like, for instance, there's this back and forth between blacks. That's what get me, is how we aim our vitriol at one another because we hold differing opinions. Um, oh, you got the gift. Awesome, Regina. I'm glad that you got the appreciation gift. That's great. I tried to send it out to all my clients. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone. Clients past and present. If someone sees this and I missed you, just let me know. It'll be a little late, but I'll get it to you. Um, just a little momentum and thought of my appreciation for allowing me to work with you. It was a wonderful journey. It's good to have had you as a client and now to have you as a friend. Thank you. Look, here we are. I'm looking at, for instance, everybody's taking shots at one another because of whatever side of the fence they're on concerning this vaccination thing. My thing is, I don't, like I said, when I addressed that particular topic, my thing was I will not tell people what they should or should not do, because while I hold a pretty in-depth understanding of how this thing is going and what's going on, because I literally spend that much time in developing the understanding, I do not hold a level of expertise that I feel that allows me to tell a person what they can't do or what they should not do or what to do. I can tell you what I'm doing, and I can tell you why I'm doing it, and I can share with you the framing and the context and the history behind it, but I won't tell you that. But what I can tell you is the first question that came to mind with the vaccine is, at what point in time in history has this country ever given anything that was truly beneficial to blacks first? And yet there's this massive campaign to ensure black people that they can trust it, to ensure black people that, look at all the black people that are taking it first. And they had a major push months ago that they wanted to test it in Africa, even though Africa was the least impacted continent as it pertains to COVID. They wanted to test it on Africans. And there's no history. If you read medical apartheid, there's no point in time we ever got the good end of that. I mean, up until a couple of decades, well, a few decades ago, up until the 80s, they were still sterilizing black women without their knowledge. And definitely from the 70s back, that was a part of that eugenics thing that nobody wants to admit took place. But there's records, there's a history of it. It's there, it can be verified. If you haven't read Medical Apartheid, you should definitely read it. That's my point exactly, Armia, is that you should be able to know from your history about, what to expect and how to gauge things. And you should have a level of self-preservation instilled in you that says, wait a minute, I'm going to see where this goes. There's so many things about vaccines. Yeah, I don't vaccinate my kids anymore. You're not giving me anything. I haven't ever had the flu shot. Had the flu once 30 years ago. Haven't had it since. It's amazing what a healthy immune system will do. And if I did have it, my body fought it off so well that I didn't know I had it. So again, here we are. Now, what I want to talk about is this whole uh, COVID relief bill, which is really not a COVID relief bill. It's a funding bill that has some COVID relief in it. Relatively speaking, less than 100 billion, or right at 100 billion. Right at 100 billion out of 900 billion is going to be tied into that, maybe a little more. But if you just take the $600 stimulus and you think about the people who actually qualify for it, while we have somewhere close to 330 million people in this country, they don't all qualify from it. Number one, some are minors. And while their parents will qualify up to 4 times, if their parents qualify, they will get up to 4 times the 600 for at least 4 of their offspring. If they have more than 4, they won't get it. But there'll be adults who don't qualify at all if you make more than 75. Now, the original bill, it was 99,000, and then it's dropped down to 75,000. The thing is, whether you made 99 or 75, if you needed it if you made 99 and you needed it the last time and nothing's improved, just because you made 99,000 a year ago doesn't mean that your situation is improved any better than the person who made 75. But this is again a way to disqualify people. And again, you give it to the people you think most need it. The problem is, whether I make 100,000 or I make 40,000, if there's no income and come in and there's no reserve, I need it just as much as the person who makes 40,000. It's real simple, but that's not what's happening, and that's not even what I'm getting. I'm making a point here that first and foremost, one thing that Donald Trump has done, and very few people have been aware of it because the media has controlled the narrative surrounding him, and told us how to think and feel about him. Me personally, I don't like him. I've never liked him, but that has absolutely nothing to do with what I observe about what he does. Now, with that being said, the one thing that you have to understand about Donald Trump is he's not a career politician. So he's not conditioned and trained to play the game the way other presidents have played the game, who came up through the ranks and know how the game is played and play ball. Even if they don't agree with each other, there are certain rules you just don't certain rules you just abide by. He's broken all the rules. Done and said, well, now what he's done, in my opinion, the reason he's done it hasn't been of honorable intent, but nevertheless, it's been done. In serving his own ego, he's held no punches on showing you stuff that most people don't want to see, especially blacks, because blacks only, if you want to blind a black person, all you got to do is say racist, and they don't see nothing else. You can show a person to be racist when the truth of the matter is almost every president was racist. Uh, the black president, supposedly black president that we got, did nothing for us. He served the interests of white racists, which was the reason he was put in the first place. And all of a sudden, Donald Trump is responsible for every racist act that ever happened in America. We act like we were great before Donald Trump took office. I'm like, where were we 5, 6, 7 years ago? Most of this stuff was being done. For those of us who want to fight the battle for illegal immigrants because of how they're being treated, handled. From a humane perspective, I'm not happy about it. I don't like it. I don't want to see anybody handled and treated the way they've been handled. But they don't serve our interests entering into the country illegally and taking away from us. But I don't want to see that happen. But I'm not finna pretend like that started when Donald Trump got in office. He was vocal about their interest into the country. But many of the pictures that were used to paint him as a racist because of what was happening were actually took during Obama's administration. Those gates and those camps weren't just created, they've been there. But because we don't do research, we don't have, now what does that have to do with this whole relief bill? I'm getting to that. What I'm saying is, if you go back, he's constantly showed you on both sides. He's given Republicans fit. If you play after, he doesn't play like they play. He constantly keeps them on edge because they're trying to play that show them the left, the sleight of hand thing, and Dems are just playing that we're gonna smooth you, talk sweet to you while we're behind your back screwing you, which they've always done. And so everybody's got their own thing. Like I tell people, the right wing Republicans, the left wing Democrat is attached to the same damn bird. That bird has been shitting on the head of black people from the time them darn people came to this darn land. That has never changed. It doesn't matter which wing it is. The bird is going in the same damn direction, regardless of what each wing is doing. They're working in unison to get the bird in a certain direction. One wing is doing this, the other wing is doing whatever to get it in a direction. None of that stuff is benefiting us. The two-party system has never been about serving the needs of the disenfranchised. It's been about giving an illusion to people that they actually have power in a situation that they don't. We have literally been sitting up and waiting almost 9 months for Republicans and Democrats to come up with a bill to give us back our money, and we don't even realize it. We are paying them six figures and up. We're paying them somewhere from 140,000 up, six figures, plus unbelievable medical benefits, retirement, and all that stuff that they get. We're giving them all that to then tell us what they're going to do with our money, then ration us off, then turn around and tell us and what's your point, Lola? What's your point? Obviously, you've missed everything I said because the only thing you can focus on is Trump. And my crazy thing is, again, do the math. Forget how ignorant he is. Forget how he sounds. Forget the fact that he's vocally and vocally and overtly racist. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's because they told you to be afraid. Nobody told you to be afraid of Obama, but what did he do for us? And what did he do to hurt us? You couldn't tell me because you haven't watched it. All you know is you saw a smooth black brother walking around in a suit looking great. And it didn't matter what he did in the background, because if you knew what he did in the background, you would have been afraid long before Trump came along. See, my whole thing is, we're talking about politics have been going on before this dude ever thought about getting in the arena. 4 years ago, he was a businessman. He's never held political office before he became president. So 4 years, everything that has happened in this goddamn world is Donald Trump's fault. And nobody cares to do the math on that. That's scary to me, that my people can be that easily misled. I'm not a fan of the dude, but I'm not stupid enough to believe that everything my people are going through is him. Now, does he say stupid stuff? Absolutely. But many of the policies, almost all of the policies that are in place that negatively impact us were in place before this clown got in office. They just sit up and gave you something. Like I said, they know, them specifically know. Okay, I don't have time for ignorance. So Lola's gone. She wants to play. She gone. All right. I don't got time for that. People want to learn. Anybody can disagree, man. I have no problem with that. But when you keep coming with stupid things and playing on the time that I'm trying to be serious, and you coming up and you have no sense of or an ability of to take in what's being shared by others, then your point of view don't get to get shared on here. It's that simple. We share, we learn, we teach one another. I learn from you guys as well as trying to share with you guys. I don't have an ego that won't allow someone to disagree with me. But when you just keep coming back doing that bull crap that was just being done, it's bye-bye. See you. Peace. Now, back to what I'm saying. Do simple math. What happened is he came in and he started exposing things. He started exposing that neither side were really who they were saying they were, and that nobody had. I tell you one thing. I cannot think of this lady's name. Hopefully somebody on here can. That was a black lady that they have been talking about since Clinton was in office, that got a life sentence for being a quote unquote drug pen because she was allowing some, whatever happened. She's a grandmother, and she was getting up in age, and Clinton didn't commute her sentence. Bush didn't commute her sentence. Obama did not commute her sentence. Trump not only commuted her sentence, he came back around after commuting it and gave her a full pardon. A black woman. She's not the only one. So everybody's going to focus on all the people he's pardoning and commuting sentences on now, and then not look at what he has done. Still doesn't make me a fan of him. But that woman and a number of others who were erroneously and unfairly sentenced deserve some attention that no other president but Trump gave them. Nobody reported that. If they did, it was a little line, and that's all you got. Nobody cared about it. But the bottom line is there were some things that Trump has shown. Number one, Trump showed us that Obama wasn't as handicapped as he pretended, because Trump showed up and did whatever the hell Trump wanted to do, to the extent of them wanting to impeach him. He came in and he wrote executive orders, executive memorandums, two different things, but he wrote them. He put things into motion. Nobody's going to even remember that when the Dems and the Republicans came to a stalemate in August and took a freaking vacation without extending the unemployment benefit that Trump wrote a temporary executive order extending it for 3 or 4 weeks or 3 or 4 periods or whatever it was while they were out so they could come back and then extend it, and they still never got it done. He did that. And, my thing is, again, doesn't make me a fan of the dude. I just don't like him. I don't like anything about him because I know who he is. My thing is, he's not isolated in that situation. I have much more discontent, dislike, and mere hatred for Biden because Biden's been screwing my people for 40 years and getting paid by the tax dollar to do it. And there's evidence of it. And because they sold you on the fact that he's not as bad as Trump, he's a less of two evils. Evil is evil, no matter how you look at it. Here's what Trump did. Trump is consistently screwing both sides. I'm going to show you what he did and what I'm talking about as far as it pertains to this relief package. They come together. Now, a few months ago, well, back in the summer, Trump asked for $2,000 per person. This was back in the summer. He asked for $2,000 per person. They are framing it all kind of ways now, but he asked for this way back when the first one was coming to an end. And he said, okay, we need to do 2,000 next time. And we never got there. Republicans definitely didn't want to do it, and Dems were holding out for something else. Republicans came to the table back in September, if I'm not mistaken, right after they came back from their vacation that Trump did the executive order to extend. They came back and said, okay, we'll agree to 1.4 trillion, but we're not trying to do that. I think it was almost 4 trillion at one time Dems were asking for. We're not doing that, but we'll give you 1.4 trillion. And it was going to be more than what they ended up settling for. Now, the reason they didn't take it was Nancy Pelosi came out and said, look, all Trump is pushing it for now is that he wants to be the hero. He wants checks to go out to the American people with his name on it. This is her words, not mine. And we don't think that's the best situation. She literally sit up and got the rest of the Dems to turn down and not accept the 1.4 to only turn around after the election and accept 900. Because after the election, it's already over with. Now, we don't have to answer the voters with our seats for another year for some, and for most, 2 more years. We don't have to answer with our seats. So now we can sit up and do what we want to do. So we're going to, and then here's the thing. You offer the American people $600 of their tax dollars, $600 per qualifying citizens. Not everybody's getting it, just qualifying citizens, $600. And whatever else that they're doing. And you're talking about 100 and something billion. All things considered, and doing some math that may not be exact because we don't really know exactly who's going to qualify. They've done the math. They know exactly how many Americans are going to qualify for this, what it's going to cost them. That's how they know how to put the numbers in the bill. I don't know all the qualifying factors. I don't know who all qualifies, but I know that not all 328 plus billion to 330 billion, somewhere up in there, don't qualify. So that's not going to be that. If they all qualify, we all qualify to be somewhere close to 198, between 196, 198 billion towards that. But we all don't qualify. So let's reduce that down to maybe 140 billion. Okay, so 140 billion out of 900 billion is actually going to specifically the citizens. Okay, now you got stuff that's in the bill for gender programs. You got stuff that, and you guess what party threw that in? Those were Dems. Oh, those are the ones that we ride with, that constantly put other people before us and never ever answer or give us what they promised. They put that in. There's a bill in there for 23 billion to go to what is it, Pakistan, some more stuff out there. And then there's even a bill in it that's changing illegal streaming from a misdemeanor to a felony punishable by 10 years. So not only are they stiffing us on the money, they're turning around and putting in things that will allow them to lock up more people. 10 years, punishable by 10 years. I'm not saying that I agree with or promote or encourage or condone illegal streaming. Not at all. But I'm just looking at how they playing the game, the stuff that they threw off in this. And then when they got called on it, they said, well, okay, this isn't the relief bill. This is a funding bill that has relief in it. No, we've been waiting on the relief bill. That's what it's been called from the time that the first one was put out and voted down up until now. It's been called the relief bill. That's what everybody's been waiting on. What you did is you took the desperation of the people and threw in all these extra earmarks to get your interests, all of your interests as individuals. I'm talking about the politicians, all of your interests. You're getting them taken care of. You're covering your bases on all the people that done greased your palms. You're putting them in there, and you got 900 billion. You're giving 100 and something billion to the people of their money, and you're funding and financing stuff in other nations while your nation suffers. And that's both sides. That's not just Republicans. That's not just Democrats. And what happened was they consistently asked, what number will it require for the checks that go out to the people to make the president happy and ensure that he signs the bill? He never tipped his hand. He never told them what it was going to require. If the Republicans knew, then they did not say anything. Israel is always, I see somebody talked about Israel got 500 million. Israel always getting money. That's a whole nother discussion we have to get into another time. That it's crazy. But they kept trying to find out, okay, what's the magic number of what we need to give the people in order for the president to sign this? Trump didn't say it. Didn't say anything. He just sit back. Nobody knew. So they did the 600. It got all the way to his death. It went through. And see, once they put it out there, he could have easily went to them and said, you need to change this if you want me to sign it. He let it get all the way through the Senate, come to his desk, and then he sent a message out that this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. Look at this. But what he actually did is, because see, they've been telling us they don't have the money. Trump let them come up with roughly $750 billion of BS that they wanted to send out and spend, and now says, now give the people $2,000 and tell them why you don't have the money, because the money's right here in the bill on stuff we don't have to spend on. And that exposed both sides. People, but here's the thing. My people turn right back around after complaining about the $600. And when Trump said he won't sign it unless they get 2,000, all of a sudden they're pissed off. And now it's his fault. No, everybody else has been playing politics for 9 months, and we won't do to jump on and do whatever in one day. Up until it arrives on his desk, he set up negotiators and people to help with the negotiating process, but he doesn't hold anything up until it gets to his desk. These motherfuckers, have held things up for 9 damn months almost. Well, 7 or 8 months. They've held it up. And now it's arrived on his desk and everybody wants to dump it on his lap that he screwed up. No, they've been going through this bull crap since June and haven't come to any type of agreement until now. And to double down on it, Joe Biden, the savior, told the Dems to accept this deal with 900 billion, which is 500 billion. No, excuse me, 900 billion. Yeah, which is 500 billion less than what they would have gotten if they'd have took the offer back in September. He tells them to accept it, only to have Trump come back and say that's ridiculous. These people need way more than that to survive. And I'm almost certain he has an ulterior motive. I'm almost certain it has absolutely nothing to do with his concern about suffering people. That's not the point. The point is he exposed it. He exposed it. And that's the thing that I'm trying to get you guys to understand and see, that we've got to do a better job. We've got to do a better job of understanding how things work. We've got to do a better job of being able to look beyond the superficial narratives being written by the media and force fed to the population. We've got to understand that the two-party system has never worked for the people, especially not blacks, but nobody other than the elite. This is a system designed to protect the wealthy elite. I've been telling you guys for years that racism is simply the guardian of the gate of elitism. It's just one means through which the extremely wealthy protect their wealth. They use race to manipulate, to control, to dictate, and to create buffers that keep the most disenfranchised from having access to them. And that's the thing we don't understand. So my whole thing is, what we should be doing is going back and looking at the 4 years that Trump was in office, re-examining what he said, what he did, and how it played out. Looking at what has transpired. My whole thing is, anybody that believes a person who has not even been in politics but 4 years is the cause for all of the negative stuff, none of the positive stuff, and the world fell apart when he became president, it's sad. The very policies that are in place that marginalize Black people were there before he took office. He didn't put policies in place that specifically marginalized Black people, but there were policies put in place prior to him. And we're going to act like Blue Lives Matter wasn't signed under the Obama administration by Obama. We're in the midst of a time. We act like Mike Brown, even though Oscar Grant was murdered before the inauguration of Barack Obama, he was murdered still under the Bush administration, but coming in 3 weeks before Barack took office. And the prosecution and the investigation of his case was done under Obama, so I count him. Oscar Grant is what totally shook my world. I have never gotten over that. That's the first shooting I saw actually on film. Everything else I read about. I actually saw that happen, and I've never been the same since. So Oscar Grant just sticks. But Oscar Grant, Mike Brown, John Crawford, Eric Garner, Trayvon Martin, even though it wasn't a cop, but Trayvon, all these people died under the Obama administration. What we don't want to talk about is most of the people who have been shot by cops are coming out of cities that are Democrat. We talk about all the killing going on in Chicago. Chicago is a Dem-ran city. We just got Rahm Emanuel out of the damn head seat, and we put Lori Lightfoot in, another Democrat. It's been constantly Obama, a Democrat, comes out of Chicago. We're not talking, our people are suffering in cities that are democratically dominated, and we don't want to talk about it because it doesn't suit the narrative that Dems are our savior. Dems are Republicans. None of them mean us any good. They never have. They serve the interests of the wealthy elite. They are in power to protect the power of the most wealthy. They give us an illusion, and that's why voter turnout isn't so much, especially on the national level, isn't so much about election as it is a litmus test. Why? They're counting the voters' turnout as a validation that the people still believe in the system. As long as people are showing up to vote, that means that while they may not be happy, they still believe the system works. Nobody participates in something that they don't believe works. Tamir Rice, thank you. So when you look at this is, so when millions and millions upon millions turn out and they look at it and they say, okay, they still believe in the system. We can still do it the way we've been doing it. We just shoot them the BS. We feed one side this type of rhetoric, and we'll do that through the Republican Party. We feed the other side this type of rhetoric, and we'll do that through the Democratic Party. And we'll keep making them think that it's each other's fault. And they'll keep blaming the other, and they'll never see what's going on behind the curtain. They've been doing it for years. The bottom line is that litmus test. When we show up and say, hey, man, I'm casting my vote, we say we still believe this thing works. We don't like how it's turned out, but maybe if a few more vote. And I get amazed at how many Black people actually allow people to get them into believing it's their fault that some national politician didn't get in office. We make up 13% of the population. Of that, about maybe 6 to 7% of us are actually eligible to vote. And so we somehow control anybody getting in anywhere. We didn't put Barack Obama. We didn't put Barack Obama in office. White midstream liberals and some midstream conservatives did that. That was where the bridge was gapped, because we did what we always do. That's what I'm thinking. People keep talking, but if you go back, every presidential election cycle since the 60s has saw an increase in Black voter turnout and a consistent Black voter loyalty of 90% of all registered voters voting Democrat. It's not that we have switched over. Now, this last election saw a significant percentage of Black males vote for Trump. And that's because they take Biden's act against them as far as incarceration and the bills that incarcerate them. They took that personally. And so they voted that way. Me personally, I gave my vote to somebody that actually at least talked about doing something for Black people and pointed out how the system has failed. And I knew that they weren't going to win, but I felt like showing that people were supporting. The more support a person that isn't a part of the two-party system gets, the more they get the message that it ain't as sweet as it used to be. And it was either that or not give anybody. I'm never going to give somebody that I've got to look at as a lesser of two evils my vote. I'm never going to give someone that has personally shown me that they are ill intent towards me, that they literally have policies on deck that show that they not only voted against my interests, this son of a bitch stood up and wrote the legislation his damn self and then put it before the people and then voted on it himself. That is never going to get my vote. And so I had to make some decisions. I don't tell people what to do. I'm not here for that. I'm here to say you got to do a better job of understanding what you're doing and stop being led by your emotions. It is amazing that we are here 155 years post-emancipation, and we haven't moved one iota in the percentage of wealth we own in this country. We haven't moved one iota in the progression of socioeconomic interests within the Black community. We haven't moved one iota in the sense of academic and educational development within the Black community. We have spent so much of our energy and time trying to be accepted, trying to be integrated, trying to be a part of a system that does not want to accept us. Terry Jones, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear. They're not going to Terry. They're not going to be able to see it because on my my main settings on my channel, I can't. I've been trying to approve that your post you just put up there, but it won't even let me do it because I have that word that you got in there, the N word. It's on my no fly list. If you can kind of, put some symbols in certain places in that word, I'm pretty sure that it'll stick and people can see what you said. But Lyndon B. Johnson said exactly what you said. It just won't go on here. And I put that on there. There's certain words that just won't fly on here. The B word, the N word, and a few others, just words that, I personally decided I didn't want flying around on my channel because who will show up and use them N words outside of us. And on that note, look, I want to encourage my people. We've got to get on board. We've got to become unified. We have far more at our disposal than we are willing to use. We don't work together. We don't support one another. We don't get involved. We spend more time finding ways to tear down those who are trying. We will give pats on the back, but we will not support anything. We will sit up and talk about it and ridicule it and then complain. The bottom line is what we do in our community is going to be solely left up to us. There's never going to be a time that we're actually going to be empowered by the very people who benefit from our demise. You have to understand that the people who benefit from our demise are never going to sit up and say, we're going to emancipate you. We are going to build you up. We're going to give you a platform for wealth building. I did a report not that long ago where I wrote on the fact that owning the same comparable house presents a massive difference in the capacity to build wealth for blacks than it does whites. It has been proven in case studies that when a person knows, when an appraiser knows that the house is owned by a black person, they bring it in at a lower value than when it's owned by a white person. There have been a number of studies doing that. On the flip side, when the county appraiser comes by, they appraise black properties at a higher tax rate, at a higher property value for tax purposes than they do the white family with comparable houses. I mean, houses in the same area, built at the same time, primarily by the same builder or the same quality, the same square footage. There's this variance. And that's just some of the ways that it's done. And so all of these policies were put in place, by the way, long before that was a Donald Trump. This has been going on for decades. This is just another way of redlining. Lending practices that are in place right now are still descendants of policies that were in place during redlining. Just other ways to lock black people out of being able to build wealth at the same rate as whites. You wonder why the wealth gap is widening between blacks and whites. Some of it is on us. We have a problem with consumerism. We have a problem with individualism. We have a problem with not truly understanding the primary concept, principle, and value of community. But a lot of it is policies in place that just simply means we have to work immensely harder than white people to build wealth. Already being at a disadvantage and behind, we have to work extra hard just to gain ground at the same rate. So even if we are gaining ground at the same rate, we're not closing the gap. That's something that we've got to be aware of. And for instance, it's all possible now. Those with the highest earning median in America are Asians. They are also rapidly closing the gap, wealth gap between them and whites. They're almost at 100,000 per median household, and whites are somewhere between 130 and 140,000 per median household, and they're closing that gap rapidly. Whereas in most instances, we are well below 6,000 per median household, and for the most under 1,000. I need to take this call, so I'm gonna have to go on and get off. But you guys, I thank you for stopping by. You have a great day. Hello.